This is IGN. According to a former PlayStation exec, video games must learn from VHS's victory over Betamax. This is an IGN Daily Update special. Video game console sales cap out each generation at about 250 million. So how will the console manufacturers break through that barrier? By learning a crucial lesson from the videotape format war, one former PlayStation executive has suggested. Speaking on the Pause for Thought and Naomi Kyle YouTube channel, Sean Layden, former boss of Sony Interactive Entertainment America, said the console video game market has hit a limit and significant change is needed to expand beyond it. We talk about gaming as being this $250 billion industry, which it is, and have hundreds of millions of users, which it does, he began. But of course, that includes if you're playing Wordle, you're a gamer. If you're playing Candy Crush, you're a gamer in that number. But the number of discrete consoles sold over any particular generation caps out about 250 million. If you line up all the PS1s, Sega Saturns, and N64s and you go by generation, it's all about 250. The one time it popped to almost 300 was the generation that had the Wii, and people thought you could buy Wii Fit and lose weight. So we got some non-traditional gaming audience to buy into the gaming industry at that time, but that was an anomaly, and we still kind of flattened out. So we need to crack that cap, that barrier. But how? Layden has said the video game industry should study the past as it looks to the future. In particular, Betamax's loss to VHS in the videotape format war. The videotape format war was a late 1970s-80s battle between Sony's Betamax and JVC's VHS for dominance in home video recording, with VHS ultimately winning due to longer recording times, broader licensing, aka more manufacturers, and key partnerships with movie studios, making movies available for rental or purchase on VHS more readily, despite Betamax often having slightly better initial quality. Betamax lost to VHS for one reason only, that VHS licensed its format across many different manufacturers, Layden explained. Sony held the unique Betamax patent, trademark, and everything. There was a license we did with Toshiba towards the end of the life cycle, but it never went wide like VHS. People didn't understand that need of having the same machine as your neighbor. You can have an RCA TV and you can have a Sony TV and, that's all fine. But once your neighbor has picked VHS and you want to watch that tape of that movie, but you have Betamax all of a sudden? So the industry coalesced around VHS. Then later on, Sony and Philips created the Compact Disc Consortium. They created the patent and then they licensed it out to all the other manufacturers. Same thing happened with DVD. Same thing happened with Blu-ray. They said that will compete on the device. So if you get a Bang & Olufsen Blu-ray player, it's going to cost you more than the Sanyo player, even though they'll both support the platform, but they'll have different bells and whistles. This, Layden said, is exactly what the video game industry should do. Create a gaming format consortium of sorts. I think we need to get in a world where we have a gaming format, he said. Maybe it just comes from PC. Maybe we find a way to just do it all in a Linux kernel or something. And then we have a consortium around that. We have licensing programs which allow other manufacturers to build into that space. And then you can talk about real numbers moving. That's how you get to the ubiquity of the toaster. But right now, I think we're trapped in this containment field. Following Layden's thought here, though, it would require Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to come together to agree upon a singular gaming format that means all video games play on all consoles. Not only that, but any company would then be able to try its hand at making a PlayStation or an Xbox and compete with the first-party console manufacturers in the market. How likely is that to happen, though? Maybe there's a world in which Microsoft does something like this with Xbox, given its current multi-platform policy for its video games. Sony releases some of its games on PC and with Helldivers 2 finally on Xbox, but it seems a long way from a blanket multi-platform policy. Nintendo is perhaps the least likely of the three to join forces with its console rivals. You've always needed a Nintendo console to play The Legend of Zelda officially, and I can't see the next mainline Zelda game coming out on anything other than the Switch 2 when the time is right. Essentially, it would mean the true death of the console exclusive. For now, though, console exclusives remain a thing, Layden insisted. I don't think every game has to be a console exclusive. I don't think every game should be a console exclusive. But I do accept the fact that if you're going to have platform companies like Sony and like Nintendo largely, Microsoft is more of the Xbox everywhere, anywhere, there is a huge value to the brand of having strong exclusives. If Mario starts showing up on PlayStation, that's the apocalypse, right? Cats and dogs living together, and the same goes for Nathan Drake and Uncharted. They make the platform sing. Currently, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are still very much in the business of making video game consoles that play only games released for those consoles. Sony is plotting the inevitable PlayStation 6. Microsoft has committed to releasing a next-gen Xbox, although it sounds like a PC console hybrid, and Nintendo just launched the Switch 2. Perhaps the Switch 3 will follow. That's your IGN Daily Update. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console and subscribe to our weekly podcasts through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.